Okay, so garage is getting super crowded. I want to work on the car really bad, but stuff just keeps coming up one after another. This is how it happens, right? This first video I made is talking about how we're just going to slap the engine in it and go. But this is what happens to people. But we will finish this. We will. It's going to happen. And we'll get some work done on this weekend. I'd like to have that whole bottom undercoated by the end of the weekend. I think we can do that Sunday. Today we got the Jetta. Wife's Jetta needs rear brakes. Silverado needs rear brakes. I need to cut the grass. If I can get those 3 things done early, right? I slept until 10 because I'm so damn tired. Then we'll get the water stuff done upstairs. Get these boards cut the size they need to be for the floor, so they're out of the way. Just kind of get some of this junk out of the way. Then Sunday we can hit the car hard and get that bottom, get the whole undercarriage done. That way we start bolting stuff in. Then we'll be clean up the rear member, paint it, bolt it in. One thing after another until we can. Once the rear is together, I'll flip her back flat on her wheels, and then we'll really get rolling. So yeah, it looks like it's being put to the side, but it's not. There's a lot of thought about it. So I'm not sure how I feel. Well, no, I do feel pretty good about the sealant. It's less where it's thin. It's not very squishy. Up here it's a little more squishy. We're going to cover it with so much junk, it just doesn't matter. And yeah, anyway, let's get moving motorbike out of the way a bit. I'm going to turn her car around since it's just the rears. That way it'll be closer to tools and whatnot. We'll get both sides up at the same time, knock it out, kind of do a quick how-to, and then be on our way. Okay, so wheels off. You can see here's caliper, right? And I think I'll need the tool. Do I reset this? I'm gonna need the tool that turns the cylinder, which I have in the garage somewhere, so I'll have to look for that. But all you need to take the caliper off is a 1315 T30 Torx for this guy. Now, on some cars that are older and people didn't use anti-seize, they'll just snap, and then I leave them off because they're not that necessary. But it can be a pain to line the holes up with the holes in the hub. So if I can reuse them, I do, but I don't bother drilling them back out. So let's see. But yeah, so your 13 millimeter on this back nut, and then if your pin is spinning, right, that's where the 15 goes to hold it. And then since those all come out, if they're nasty, we'll clean them up in the sandblaster. So here's, don't do what I just did, which is take the caliper off and then forget to take this out because there's nothing to hold it, right? So I could put a couple of the lugs back in, put those bolts in, hold them with a wrench, and then try to get this out. But we're going to do what you're not supposed to do. We're going to put a Torx on an impact and just see what happens. Worst case, I end up drilling this out, but it's more fun that way, right? Oh, see? Perfect. I got the motivator out because this is going to be all crusted together, right? It's been through Michigan winters almost its whole life. Now, every car that I can think of, I've always had to pull the caliper carrier off to get the disc off. This one, it's so short there, I wonder if when this comes loose, if there's enough wiggle room in there for it to pop out. If not, we'll pull the carrier. We kind of want to check, like, these pins feel great. So I don't want to break the seal on the boot and like clean them out. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I don't have new boots. If I tear one, I'm screwed. They're not jammed up, so we're not going to mess with them. Yeah, so and we don't care about this rotor because we're putting new ones in. Oh boy, this is... Oh, this could be a minute. Okay, so I welded a bead around the face, and I got enough heat into it for it to move, but it's not enough, I don't think, to get around this bracket. We'll try. It sucks. So, fucking Volkswagen, right? I want to like them so much. I'm addicted to their cars, but it's like, come on. The heat, this shield bolts on from behind the fucking disc, so you can't take the shield off without taking the disc off. And then the caliper carrier uses a triple square, and it uses a 14 millimeter triple square, which is one size bigger than the biggest one I've already got. So I don't have any way to take this off without locating one of these tools. Like, they're not going to have it at stores around anywhere. I probably have to get it at the dealership or order it online. And because of my little welding trick, we can't just put her brakes back on and wait for a tool to show up. So yeah, we'll do some digging, see if I can find one of these. In the meantime, I might pry at this a little more and see if I can shimmy it out, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Okay, so I use my noggin and tap this back in, which popped this side out, and I don't know if it's going to come out or not. Okay, it's cool enough to touch. Oh, please, 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 please. Yes. Oh, it's hot. It is hot. Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. So, yeah, nice. So you don't have to take that off. That's amazing. I no longer hate Volkswagen. But I did find out as a backup that the local car parts store does have these 14mm triple squares. So maybe just in my old age, you know, I haven't realized that people are using them more and more, and I should just go get one. So maybe next time I'm in the store, I'll pick up a set just to have them. So now we need to clean the snot out of this, right? We want to make sure that this is nice and flat. If it's not, and you're off even like millimeter or two, half a millimeter, like, and it's not straight, now you got a weeble wobbly brake, and it's going to feel like they're warped even though they're not. So we'll get the wire wheel out, really clean this up nice and flat, and then we have to reset the caliper. Things can go back together. She'll be right as rain. Okay, so this is cleaned off. I wire wheeled off where the pads slide. Brake cleaner, right? Get your brake cleaner, clean your brakes. So the faces, you want to make sure there's no greasy nasties from, you know, they'll put like Cosmoline or some stuff on some of these when they store them. So they'll be wrapped in plastic with goo, and you want to get all that goo off. You don't want it in your pads. And then I have just some grease to do our points because her brakes didn't come with them like the ones did for my van. And then anti-seize, best thing ever. All the bolts are going to get, well, these bolts won't, but I'll put some on the face here. Remember we talked about we don't want it stuffed out. So very, very thin, super, super thin layer of grease, and when you, or the anti-seize, and when you tighten it together, it's going to squish the extra out anyway. So we won't have a problem with that. And then a little bit on this guy so he doesn't explode next time we want to take him apart. And then yeah, grease on the normal grease points. We'll show all that as we go. Okay, so you can see a really, really thin coat just on the rotor, or on the hub, and then when we put the rotor on, you know, anything that's a little too much will get squeezed out pretty easy. It's not going to make it wobble around like big chunks of rust would, and this will make a lot easier for it to pop off the next time we do these, because there's some things in this car that make its value go down. So we plan on kind of driving it into the ground, and as long as we take care of all the rest of it, it'll stay in good shape mechanically. Well, we were close. Looks like I'm going to the store anyway. So of course the worn out rotor's thinner, so it popped out, and now the full size one, well, it's able to kind of like, it just popped in at the angle. Well, now when I need to go to flatten it out, it's too thick to allow this side to slide into place. So that carrier's got to come out. At least the store's got the tool. We'll just let this hang out. It's not doing anything bad to it. And I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to hit it with a hammer or anything stupid like that. So, just, you know, half an hour store and back to get a tool, but at least we'll have it. We'll take the carrier off when we do the other side, which will make it easier to deal with. And yeah, it just sucks. It's hot out. We'll take the motorbike. I wonder, I probably don't have anything to mount the camera to it. So that would be fun, right? Get this thing mounted on. I wish I had my chest mount. But, yeah, so here's the piece all welded up, and should snap in here. Clicks in, nice and thin. We can put our ratcheting tool on it, and it should do what we need it to do on this stupid carrier bolt. Longest brake job of the century. It's taking me all damn day. Okay, so this guy back here. See this arm in the way? None of my swivels can clear it, and I can't get this bolt in there with a ratchet because this is just, you know, it won't go in. So this is already looking promising. Let's see which way is left. It's on, off. So this side in. Oh, look at that. Slips right on it. Okay, I'm gonna need 2 hands, but it works. We got enough clearance, and we'll be able to ratchet that one out. Get this in, set in place, put it back together, find out what the torque's supposed to be. I won't be able to put my torque wrench in, so I'll be able to torque the bottom one and then just make the top one as tight as I possibly can. Maybe I'll use, I don't use red Loctite because I don't make it a pain in the dingus to take off again. So we'll see how many foot-pounds they're supposed to be, or Newton meters, whatever you prefer. It does the same thing. Well, I found out the real reason that wouldn't just slip in. So I accidentally ordered the 272 millimeter brakes when this car has the 253 millimeter brakes. So anyway, sucks. Fucking sucks. So we'll see what their return policy is. These rotors are only 15 bucks. So if it's one of those things where it cost me $10 to ship them back, and just to get 20 bucks, I don't know. I might see, there's a guy at work that has, hey, wait, my friend Aaron has the wagon. I think the wagon has the bigger rears. The wagon has the bigger brakes. So I'll see if these fit his car. Either way, we're going back to the parts store because they have the proper rotors in place. Sucks. And then probably I went to the store and I bought a tool that I likely didn't need, and we'll find out on the other side if I can slip that rotor in and out with a smaller size without removing the carrier. That would be hilarious, right? But at least we have that cool little that nubby little tool that I made. Okay, got the right size, put them on, they fit nice. The other ones were touching this heat shield, that's why I wondered what the hell was up. Yeah, so now I had to dig around the garage a bit, but I found my reset tool. The way these work is you hold onto this part and then just spin it, and the end spins with the threads, and they fit in those 2 little grooves. I bought this one to reset the brakes on a Volkswagen from the 80s, and this is a 2014, and they still use the same size. So if you get one of these and you like Volkswagens because you have a disease like I do, it'll pay for itself instantly. It makes it so much easier. The first time I ever did some, I was grabbing onto the cylinder with pliers and like turning it by hand as I push on it with a C-clamp. It's just gross. So I'll get this set up and see if I can find a camera angle. Okay, that ought to show it well enough. So what I do is I get it good, yeah, so I get it in there and then I tighten this up by hand up against that base. Just kind of get it nice and tight. And you're going to grab onto this guy. You can do it with your fingers sometimes because they're really not that difficult. Once that, oops, there we go. Because once it turns, like it just compresses in. It's really not that bad. Yeah, this one is stupid. Stopped going in. Oh, why wouldn't it stop? You know, today's stupid enough anyway. I wonder if they changed the ratio, because it's like turning and then it stops till I get more tension on it. It's like there it turns. Or maybe something was just stuck. Either way, now it's going. Oh, I should pop her fluid cap off before I get too far and make sure it doesn't overpressurize and blow shit everywhere. Looks good, it's not too high up, so we'll just leave that loose when we're tighten back down. We gotta hook the battery back up. I left it disconnected because I figure we'll probably have to weld on the other side to get it apart. But yeah, it's just how it goes sometimes. Oh yeah. There we go. And there's
bottom of her. So then you just loosen up your inner nut until it's far enough those teeth will come out. You know, make sure that they're not going to rub on the boot and shred it or anything. So yeah, that'll do. We'll get the carrier back on, caliper and pads on, a little bit of grease, and do the other side. Well, it's official. This day is stupid, dude. Like, this will be my third trip. I don't know why I didn't check this beforehand. Look at that. Brake pads are different. So I bet these go to the other car too. I bet. Because I bet I bought a package. I bet I bought a rotor and pad kit for the wrong one. And now I gotta go back to the store again. Another 40 minutes round trip. Okay, so finally, correct rotor, correct pads, stuff's greased in the correct spots, everything's torqued back down, and this is all it took, is all this crap in 3 trips to the parts store because I'm a moron. So let's see, what did it take? 3:48. So it took me from 10 in the morning till almost 4 in the afternoon to do one side of a stupid Jetta. We're gonna put the wheel back on, jump onto the other side. I gotta charge my phone, get some music going, see how fast that one goes. Okay, so we're making record time, but check this out when you have the right size rotors. Come on, look at, see, one-handed, and you don't have to take the carrier off. Hooray! So we're already putting stuff back together. Same thing, these pins feel really good. So we'll get a bolt in there. I've already put this guy back. It's not, oh, it's just crud. So yeah, it's gonna be quick, and we'll do a final time once she's back on the ground. Okay, just grabbed my watch for the time, and well, my phone, right? So battery's back in, little things bolted down, both wheels are torqued down, tools are still out, but I'll need some for my truck. It's 4:18. So from the time I was over here bitching about how I started at 10 in the morning, it took me exactly 30 minutes to do the other side, start to finish. And that included putting this wheel on. So really this should have been, even with welding on the front of it, because I had to do that to that rotor too, weld on it to get heat in it and pound it off, all that pain in the butt, and this should have been 1 hour total. It should be 11 in the morning right now when I'm starting on the Silverado, not almost 4:30 in the afternoon. So that's why I'm so moody. So maybe I'll get some cranberry juice. No, I'm gonna get a beer. All right, so this is the socket that takes those bolts out. I got the bottom one out because there's plenty of space, but the top one has a control arm in the way. Like, I can't fit this and the ratchet, right? So this this is too thick. This doesn't fit in there. So we need something slimmer than the ratchet head that we can get things onto. I think the answer is this 17mm nut. Now, if these are cheap, well, if I bought 2, I thought about buying 2 because they were only like $10 for the set. I could just weld this on the end of there, and I'd have a tool just for her brakes. But instead, I'm gonna grab this guy because I almost never use this stubby extension. I'm gonna lop it off real close, and we're gonna go ahead and take the coating off of there, make sure there's no coating on here, wire wheel it all off. That way that'll be welded about like that. And then we'll have an adapter that we can use with other stuff in the future and not just this one socket. And I can put my gear wrench on it. It should go pretty well. So I'll catch back up in a minute.